What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Grant Smith, and today I'm going to do a quick video on my 5 tips for beginner bow hunters. So let's dig in. Tip number 1, buy a bow that is the correct draw length. I see this all the time. All the time I'm getting messages with guys asking me to help them learn how to shoot, things like that. The first thing I typically notice, they have a bow that is the incorrect draw length for them. They might have a 27-inch draw and they're shooting something that's like a 29-inch draw. They bought it on Facebook, bought it off a buddy, or it might even be gifted to them. Either way, you want to start with a bow that's fitted for you. That means someone else's peep sight needs to be moved. Everything else, these bows are customized for each of us. So everything from the draw length to where the peep sight is, to possibly even how big or long the D loop is, all that stuff's extremely important, and it varies from person to person. So it's extremely important to start with making sure you have the bow that is fitted for your correct draw length. Even me myself, I'm a 28-inch draw length. If I'm shooting a bow that's a 29.5-inch draw length, I'm going to struggle. That's all there is to it. Okay, so you might ask, how do you know, Grant? What's your draw length? It's pretty easy. You need to stand with your back straight up against the wall, arms spread out as level as possible, and you have somebody measure you fingertip to fingertip. You take that number minus 15 and divide it by 2, and that should be your draw length right there. If you don't have a bow that's your draw length, you're setting yourself up to not be successful. It's hard enough getting into archery, learning form, and it can be overwhelming. You're going to make it even harder on yourself if you don't have the right draw length. Okay, the second tip is buy the proper arrows and have them cut to the proper length. This is something I definitely screwed up when I was first getting into archery, and as I progressed, is they make arrow charts for a reason. I didn't read them. I was like, oh, whatever, these look cool, that's what I bought. You need to make sure you're looking at arrow charts based on your draw length, how many pounds you're shooting, and make sure you have the right stiffness of arrow. So this is and also the grains per inch matters too. That's not a huge deal, but you want to make sure you're buying the right arrows. Pay attention to those the sizing charts, and each manufacturer is different. So Gold Tip versus Black Eagle versus Easton, they might all have a different stiffness of arrow based on the company, basically. So make sure that you're looking at the sizing charts, getting the right arrows, and getting them cut to the proper length. I see a lot of times guys don't even have them cut. They just have a big weighted arrow sticking 3-4 inches past their rest. So ideally, what I like to see is whatever your draw length is, add an inch, roughly. Some guys like a little bit more just because of broadheads and things like that, but you add an inch, and that's what you should be getting your arrows cut at. Okay guys, third tip, develop your own shot sequence. I see this all the time. You want to stick to the basic fundamentals of archery. So when I say basic fundamentals of archery, I'm talking about your grip. I'm talking about not whatever release you're shooting, you're not punching it. I see a lot of guys that they'll bring the finger down and like a hammer, just like drop it on their index style release. That's not a basic fundamental of archery. I see guys with like the Coke bottle death grip on the bow. That's not a basic fundamental of archery. So you want to stick to the basic fundamentals, but at the same time develop your own shot sequence, figure out what works for you. Some of the worst things I see are guys just trying to push what works for them onto other people. You know what, for me, a back tension release, that might not be the best thing for me. I could shoot it for 3 months, 4 months. I might be more effective with an index style or a thumb release. That's what works for me. So don't feel like somebody who's been shooting for a while has the magical answers. You got to figure out what your own shot sequence is, what your own anchor point is. Everybody's different. Find out what works for you, and then work on that shot sequence every time you shoot. Okay, so tip number 4. This one's very important to me. Maybe it's just the Marine Corps background, but make sure you're paying attention to your sight picture and sight alignment. I can't stress that enough. So for me, what sight picture is when I'm at full draw and I'm looking through my peep sight, that peep sight is perfectly lined up with the white ring on my sword sight here. So that's sight picture. I want to have that ring of my peep lined up with my sight. I see people that they don't even have it. You know, their peep sight might be way too big. The peep sight might be way too small. They can't even see the edge of their sight. You can have a perfect anchor, great form, but if you're not coming back to that same spot every time, your shot's going to be all over the place. Sight alignment. And there are guys that don't do this, but when I talk about sight alignment, I'm talking about your actual bubble. Pretty much any sight you have out there that you're going to purchase is going to have a bubble on it. You want to make sure that bubble is centered every shot, and it can be very easy at home in the driveway, and then you get out on terrain which is not flat. You're not even used to paying attention to the bubble, and all of a sudden your shots are breaking left or breaking right, and you can't figure out why, and all of a sudden, oh, it's because my bubble is all off-centered. So sight picture, sight alignment, both are very important. Okay, my last and fifth tip is to practice. Consistency is everything in archery. Consistency in your shot sequence, consistency in your form. You can shoot great one day, and if you set that bow down for 6 to 8 months, you're probably not going to be shooting great when you pick it back up. Steps 1 through 4, they don't mean anything if you don't practice. So get on a regular practice schedule, whether whatever works for you, whether it's once a week, twice a month, and just make sure you're shooting consistently. Me, I shoot every single day. I try to shoot twice a day, but it depends on what level of a bow hunter, what level of an archer you want to be. If you're somebody wants to shoot in tournaments, I'd probably recommend you probably need to be shooting at least every day or every other day, at the very least. If you're just someone looking to get into bow hunting, even in the off season, I recommend keeping those skills sharp. I would shoot once a week at least, and just make sure you stay. Don't let your form fall off. Don't let your shot cycle fall off. And happy bow hunting. Thanks for watching, guys.